Hi everyone. What an honour it is to be standing here today. My thanks to Rod and the team for this opportunity. So my name's Brendan. I'm a simple N of 1 from New Zealand, and my story, for the most part, has already been written. I am an official Diet Doctor success story, and it's on the website there where you can read about how I first took up a low-carb diet 4 years ago this month, October 2015, and how in the 15 months that followed, I went on to lose a total of 50 kilograms, or just over 110 pounds. And that's pretty much, I guess, the extremely compressed version of the story of the literal weight off my shoulders. What I'd like to talk about today is just a bit more about how I've since come to terms with what has happened, how I've since adjusted to this new normal of mine, and how, in the course of doing so, I've come to shake off what I like to call the figurative weight from my shoulders. You see, a lot of weight loss stories we might hear about would typically describe someone who has, for example, grown up, then they've grown out, and then they'll lose that weight. And, you know, that's great, of course, that's awesome. Where my story's just a bit different, though, is that my weight issue was a lifelong one. Until 2016, I had no memory or understanding even of what it was ever like to not be fat. For more than 30 years, covering the entirety of my childhood, my teenage years, and the great majority of my adulthood, I had to live with the consequences of that condition. Now, there's the physical consequences, of course, they're obvious enough, but just as bad are the social ones. Fundamentally, this whole idea that was being fed to me by pretty much everyone, that I was to blame for my predicament, that I was somehow lazy or stupid for not being able to do what seemed to come so easily, so naturally to everyone else. If I'm fat, then it's my fault. Now, the problem with a message like that is that when you hear it often enough, you start to believe it. It starts to sink in. And I can tell you firsthand, that can lead to some pretty messed up lines of thinking. There was a point in my life where I could look back over my past history of failed weight loss attempts, low fat this, low calorie that, and I'm looking back and I'm thinking, nothing has ever worked for me. Therefore, nothing can. Therefore, nothing ever will. From the position I was in at that point in my life, this, I guess, felt like an understandable mistake to make. But from the position I'm in now, I'm pleased to have since learned that even an understandable mistake is still a mistake. I caught a question on social media at some point last year that caught my eye, and it asked the question, what is the single greatest benefit of keto or low carb in your life? And my answer was simple. Freedom, I wrote. Freedom from chronic pain, freedom from constant hunger, freedom from the usual finger wagging, that I should just eat less and move more. Yeah, no. The freedom of choice while clothes shopping. It's a new one for me. The freedom to move and travel in comfort. The freedom to do something as simple as just sleep on my stomach. the freedom of anonymity, to be able to stand in a crowd without standing out. Freedom. Another question that was asked of me personally about 3 years ago when I first went public with my big reveal on social media. And someone asked me straight up, they just asked, "How do you feel?" Simple enough question. And yet, at the time, I really struggled to find the words, the right words to do that question the justice that I felt that it truly deserved. But I think I'm about ready to do that now. So, what emotions do I feel now, since I've had a bit of time to think about it? There are 4 in all, and which one at any moment depends on the day. So for starters, there's obviously pride at the accomplishment. Since having lost the weight, I've kept it off so far for coming up 3 years and counting. Some achievements in life along the way too, having flown long haul for the first time, having gone hiking for 3 days in Fiordland National Park in New Zealand. And there's the little things too, like just being able to wear jeans without a belt. Right? Crazy. There's a bit of anger, to be fair, some days, at the fact that it took so long to find the right information. In an absolute sea of misinformation, a lifetime's worth in my case. So many people were so sure of the solution for so long. I've since found that writing about it, and indeed talking about it, has helped on some of those days. There's determination to do my part to ensure that no one else has to go through what I've been through. To that end, I have this year completed a certificate in health coaching with Precure. I still subscribe to Diet Doctor in recognition of their efforts to drive change from the bottom up. And I donate to the Nutrition Coalition in recognition of their efforts to drive change from the top down. But ultimately what I feel, more than anything else, is vindication. Vindication. No one word, to my mind, better describes that feeling of having been accused of practically committing a moral crime where my health was concerned, only to have now reached the stage of my life where I realised that despite what everyone had been assuming of me for so many years, that it was never my fault all along. And that's the feeling that I think best describes the figurative weight off my shoulders. Thank you very much.